Hi, I'm Dr. Khurrum Shaukat Yusafzai. Today's video is about who is actually a hyperbaric specialist and how he acquires the knowledge to practice the hyperbaric medicine. So let's begin. So, who is a hyperbaric medicine specialist? The training is divided actually into two major parts in order to become a hyperbaric specialist. So there is part A, which is military training as hyperbaric specialist, part B, which is medical training. And the length of both is more than 4 years if both components are added together. But the certificate granted to physician does not count the medical training. I would describe the components one by one. So, the first component is the military training of hyperbaric medicine, which is, of course, related to the hyperbaric chamber. So, let me tell you about that. By hyperbaric military training, I mean that the hyperbaric specialist has to learn about the hyperbaric chamber and also the nitty gritty of the deep sea diving, because if a doctor does not perform deep sea diving, he cannot be a perfect hyperbaric medical specialist. So the most of the hyperbaric doctors are military or naval officers who undergo vigorous training and become special services qualified, and they are expert divers, and they have performed diving on different kinds of sets, which will I show one by one. And the hyperbaric doctors are also experts in the operation of hyperbaric chambers, TRCS, worked on the naval and research ships, worked on the submarines, X-crafts, and they are also experts of rescue operations in the helicopters, submarines, ships, and aircrafts. So, scuba diving is done with air sets, and as you know, air only consists of 21% oxygen. So, the 21% oxygen diving is known as scuba. Then there is mixed gas diving sets, which can contain more than 21% oxygen, and also a mixture of gases with nitrogen and helium called nitrox and heliox, where the concentration of oxygen can be more than 21%. And then there is a surface supplied diving set where you can see the pipes are coming from surface, and they're bringing the oxygen to the diver in the suit or the helmet. Then military tactical diving, in which 100% pure oxygen is used, and in this set, as you can see, it's a very special set because it makes its own oxygen through a chemical process. So the diving with 100% oxygen is very tricky, and it's entirely different from the other kind of deep sea diving. A deep sea vessel or a mine hunter or a navy scientific or research ship or even archaeologist ships should have a hyperbaric doctor, and there is a chamber on board. That chamber can be a full chamber or a TRCS. The TRCS can join with a bigger chamber through a NATO flange or a Doppler. As you can see, there is other kind of complicated equipment as SPHL, self-propelled hyperbaric lifeboat, and there can be SPHSL, propelled hyperbaric submarine, and the doctors have to do the rescue operations and can transfer people stuck under the sea in a submarine or some disaster happening. The SPHS can be used. They can also take the chamber in a heli or an aircraft. Sometimes the TRCS is hanged from a helicopter, and sometimes it is inside of a helicopter. Then the hyperbaric doctors also take care of the um, aircraft pilots who fly the jets, and they know hyperbaric and hyperbaric chamber, which runs in reverse. They also take care of the astronauts, like the hyperbaric chambers are used by the NASA to train for the spacecrafts. And without the hyperbaric doctor, NASA cannot operate. And even SpaceX also has a hyperbaric doctor. It's a rare specialty because of the reasons, like to be a naval or an army officer and then to be a special services guy, and with the very high knowledge of deep sea diving in so many different categories of sets, as well as having practical and skilled knowledge. And they are so knowledgeable that they can be instructors, and they are instructors in deep sea diving, mostly these doctors. And they are extremely physically fit and have deep knowledge of the diving sets, the chambers, the different equipments, and they know the nitty gritty, the physics, the chemistry, the biology, and the pathology, and the knowledge of everything related to that, which the doctors who have not experienced this cannot have. Because hyperbaric chamber is a submarine on a land. Because as you see, it's a dry submarine and it works exactly like a submarine, and it's operated like a submarine, and the staff required to run this is as follows. There has to be a doctor and qualified nurses and technicians and the other staff which take care of the hyperbaric facility. And when there is a hyperbaric facility, the doctor who runs it is also called a director of hyperbaric operations, or a director of hyperbaric medicine, or a hyperbaric chamber. That's what his designation. And the nurses are also same like the doctor. They are also qualified, but they have basic nursing degrees, and they have special knowledge of the deep sea diving and other things, just like the hyperbaric doctor also have. So these are the degrees of the doctor, and at least he should have experience of being a hyperbaric medical specialist for a year to take over as a director. It it means that after that 5 years of training, combined, as I talked, military and medical, then he can become like a director of hyperbaric unit after he has performed duties of 1 year. So that makes it 5 years after the MBBS degree. And he's overall in charge of the operations of the staff under him, and also the nurses and the technicians. The hyperbaric registered nurses, just like the doctors, are also registered nurses with experience of diving. They mostly come from military, and their roles are actually divided by the hyperbaric doctor as health and safety manager, fire marshal officer, chamber operator, chamber attendant 1, chamber attendant 2, because they are rotated while performing the duties. And their education is, as I explained, with a basic nursing degree, and the skill sets of being a military staff or person would be ideal. And they should have 1 year experience after they finish their training. They should serve as 1 year somewhere under another hyperbaric doctor, and then they should be able to perform. So it's not like a small skill set department. It's like a very big department, and actually the amount of information is overwhelming, which people don't realize. They think that hyperbaric is a small degree which anybody can do. They are entirely wrong. Hyperbaric is a highly technical subject with a lot of aspects of health and safety, operations, deep sea diving, ships, submarines, the aircraft, also the medical aspects like physiology, pathology, biology, physics, chemistry, and the knowledge of gases and what they do to the human body is very important. So, if you know all this stuff, you can be a deep sea diving doctor. The second and most important component is the medical training part of the hyperbaric medical specialization, which is again further divided into the two parts. So let me show you what it is. The hyperbaric medical training component of a doctor is also very important. After he becomes a deep sea diving expert, then he moves on to become hyperbaric medical specialists who also do treatment of diseases. So as hyperbaric medicine is divided into two parts, the one part, the deep sea and underwater medical part, we talked about. The other part is treating the 300 plus diseases. And after a person has done that, he becomes an expert. He can design a facility, being a trainer of nurses and doctors, and he can write SOPs and operational procedures, also do management of disasters, can do marketing for a hyperbaric facility, and also has extensive knowledge of project management of such facilities if they are treating diseases or they are doing some deep sea operations or oil and gas or research or underwater archaeology, etc., etc. So, as we talked about, there are now two textbooks for these two components of the medical training. One is the textbook of diving medicine by Alfred A. Bovey and Davis, and there's textbook of hyperbaric medicine by K.K. Jain. So they contain a lot of information about almost 300 diseases, and these diseases I have talked in my video on my channel. You can watch my video and know about what these diseases are, and the list is ever expanding. So this is the textbook of hyperbaric medicine, and this is available, and this covers all the aspects of the disease like physiology, pathology, and the treatment aspects. The diving medicine book, the second textbook, will cover whatever is related to the deep sea diving aspects, different kind of diving as we talked before. And there are a lot of reference books for the nurses, for the technicians, also for designing the facility, how they look, what are the health and safety protocols for the facility, how they should look like. And then there is also aspects of the maintenance of the chambers, how it should be maintained, how to take care of them, how should the maintenance be performed, what are the rules, you know. So there is hyperbaric medical research also ongoing, because this is not a static science, and how the research is done is in the medical universities where they are done, and when the researches are finished, they are published in the scientific journals, they are peer reviewed, and after the peer review, the researches go inside the textbook of hyperbaric medicine, as I mentioned before. So this is how this medical science works, and it's just like any other medical science, like any other medical specialty, and it's not different. So this has become one of the newest specialty after the year 2000. So this is the summary, like the military training and the medical training and what it depends on. So I have put in graphics. After all this big knowledge and skill is attained by a hyperbaric doctor, he's ready to take on the world. As you can see, the red is the military training and the green is the medical training that completes a hyperbaric medical specialist. So now I would define you what is really hyperbaric medicine and what's its definition and how it works. Let me define what really is hyperbaric medicine after so much training, military and medical. What the hyperbaric doctor do? The old definition was treatment via high pressure environment. That's why it used to be called hyperbaric oxygen treatment. But the new definition is epigenetic treatment. Hyperbaric treatment has been recognized to affect the genes, the DNA, genome, and treats at DNA level. And this is proposed to be new definition of hyperbaric medicine. The old definition was saying that whatever is being happening is because of the oxygen at the high pressure environment. So basically, the hyperbaric doctor varies the pressure of oxygen and the dose of oxygen and the time. So there was a confusion. The confusion was because it started as a diving medicine, but it ended up being a healing science. So basically, hyperbaric medicine heals. It's a simplest epigenetic treatment of the DNA. So that's very powerful. It increased the capillary interstitial oxygen 15 times. The energy levels are also 300%. That also includes the immune system because the body is divided into highly specialized cells and the immune system is one of them, right? So it increases the healing 300% and the stem cells are also increased, and it's a painless process. Control the genes. The good genes are enhanced, the bad ones are suppressed. It also do anti-aging and also prevents abnormal protein formation because of the abnormal genes. So it's pretty powerful treatment. So let me explain. When a hyperbaric doctor writes a prescription, he actually prescribes you sessions of treatment, and that's basically 60 minutes long, although that 60-minute means actually 90 minutes because there is a time of 15 minutes before and after when you prepare to go inside the chamber, and it takes a while for the chamber to go to the required pressure. And the cost of treatment in Pakistan is about 5,000, from 3,000 to 5,000 PKR, and then you have to wear some special clothes inside the hyperbaric chamber, which consists of pure cotton. And then the pressure is also prescribed by the doctor depending on the nature of the disease, and the number of session also will vary depending on the disease. So the hyperbaric prescription basically has these three components as I show on my prescription, that it will contain the session, it will describe the session and the number of session, and also the pressure, because the pressure will change and the number of sessions will change depending on the disease and also depending on the prognosis. Prognosis means how the disease is progressing, because when you do the healing, some human bodies react differently to this treatment and some people react differently. So the progress of disease is different. So the hyperbaric is basically a specialist is a doctor, and he would see the sign and symptom and he would vary the prescription accordingly. So basically, the hyperbaric doctor analyzes the symptoms, the progress of disease, and also the requirement for the disease, that how much dose of hyperbaric medicine has to be given depending on these three variables I explained, and they are mentioned in the prescription, because this prescription is different from the normal doctor prescription because they contains these three variables. And because of this, the diseases are tackled. The doctor also takes care of the side effects. Because of the hyperbaric treatment, he would ensure there are no side effects, and he would also take care of the drug interactions because the patients are on drugs given by the other specialist. So he takes care of the drug interactions, the oxygen toxicity, also the progress of disease, and also monitor the symptoms. So this is the job of the hyperbaric. After the hyperbaric medical specialist is qualified, he obtains a degree. So let me explain the qualification and how they are registered in the medical authorities all over the world. So the hypermedical specialist qualifications, I would explain now, and also the registration of his degree in the medical council. Before, they used to call this specialty as deep sea medicine, naval medicine, underwater medicine, ship medicine, biobarica. The list was long. In order to remove the confusion, since 2001, there has been one name decided by the international hyperbaric medical societies on each continent. Now they have come on one term, which is called the hyperbaric medicine specialty. And this has two big components, as we talked about: the military aspects of diving, ships, submarines, and all the nice equipment. And there is the medical treatment aspects. It's very rare to find such doctors because of obviously the skill set involved is not easy to get. But the skill sets of the military training is not included in the medical certificate because the degrees are awarded by the medical councils or medical authorities. So that is the error of the qualification, because in this specialty there is a lot of military training which is not mentioned in these certificates. The certificates will only mention the medical knowledge, which was less because most of the doctors came from the diving aspect of the hyperbaric medicine. So the component which is related for diving is mostly mentioned in the certificates, and the component of the medical treatment, which is relatively new because it came into being after 2001, and the textbooks also came after the year 2001. So most of the senior doctors who have certificates or diplomas before 2001 will not have this on their certificates, but they are pretty qualified. But those who are not having military background and they have not done these diving, they are half hyperbaric medical doctors, according to my opinion, my humble opinion. And the knowledge of gases and deep sea diving and how it feels to be a diver is very important in understanding hyperbaric medicine, because it started like this. And if you don't understand the diving and the submarines and the hyperbaric chambers, then you cannot claim to be a complete hyperbaric doctor. You are a half hyperbaric doctor, and that is the reason of so many doctors and the variety of their opinions. So better consult a proper hyperbaric doctor whose background is and experience is in everything which I talked about. Master degree in hyperbaric medicine is not available in US or Europe or all over the world yet, and there is no diploma also available because diploma is more than a year. So most of the doctors have just certificates less than a year because, as I mentioned, of the errors, because they only mention the medical part, and since their These certificates are not even given by universities. So, anybody can give a certificate. So this is not correct. The certificates has to be given by a university. So most of the doctors in US, they claim to be hyperbaric medicine, although they're not, because they're specialists in another field, and they're like emergency medicine or anesthesia, and they have like a small certificate or diploma. People think they are like big authorities. They are not. The pure hyperbaric medical qualifications, as I told you, has these errors. There are a lot of people also with some certificates like PADI, scuba diving courses, adventure courses, recreational courses, and they also claim to be hyperbaric doctors, which is entirely wrong. Those without the background of Navy and special services are not proper hyperbaric medical consultants. So these not valid medical qualifications has to be taken in account, and that is the reason that the hyperbaric medicine is a confused entity, because of so many doctors who are claiming to be hyperbaric are not actual hyperbaric doctors, but they are actually just hobbyists. Now you know how a real hyperbaric medical consultant is formed. There's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of skill sets, and because of this, I think a new master degree would soon come that will actually encompass all the skill sets, the knowledge, and the qualifications in education. So, welcome to this new specialty, and I hope you like my video and subscribe to my channel for such informative videos. Thank you very much. Take care and goodbye.